Hi guys, so in this video we're going to have a look at how we can create hyper-realistic muzzle flashes over our video, and also we're going to have a look at how we can create lasers and things like that. So let's get started, and we're going to be doing this using the Real Muzzle Flash Kit for Adobe After Effects. So let's get started and create some nice scenes in here. So I'm going to close this video and we're right in here inside of After Effects. And once we jump in, we're right inside the project called Real Muzzle Flash Kit in here for After Effects. And once we are in here, we can see that we have this main folder, the project folder, and in here inside Muzzle Flash Kit, we have all the assets that we might need. So if we have a quick look at these, we have some bullet hits in here, we have bullet shells, we have bullet streaks, we have dust bursts, and we have laser beams. And if we enter inside some of these to see what they have in here, we can check them out like this. And let's play this. And as you can see, that's one bullet hit. It's like a metal bullet hit in here. Perfect. And then you have things like bullet shells. So if we go in here, for instance, you can see this bullet shell right over here, and we have 20 different bullet shells in here. For instance, this is a shotgun bullet shell. So you have a variety of things to choose from. Then we have the bullet streaks. So if we go inside the bullet streaks, these are things that like will show like bullets flying and stuff like that. So very nice. And you have 50 of these in here, including some sci-fi ones. Very nice. Perfect. So, and then there are dust bursts. I really like this section. So you have this like tiny dust in here, which you can put with your muzzle flashes to make it more realistic. So you can build up your muzzle flash like this. Very nice. So we will have a look at how we can use this as well. And you can even use this, for instance, when there's a bullet hit somewhere, you can like emit dust to make it more realistic. And you have different ones in here. In here you have one on white. Now all of these are on black, so you just need to turn the transition mode to screen to use it. But in this case it is on white, just this one, and you can just use that by using multiply in here. So we'll have a look at how we can use this very quickly in here. So then you have laser beams. This section is one of my favorite sections in here because of the realism of this laser. As you can see, lasers won't be just a straight line. They will have the tiny particles in the air that flow through them, and this is what we have in here. As you can see, tiny particles that the laser actually when the light hits those particles, it will show the light in there. Very nice and very realistic. And you have 21 of these with different colors as well, and some of them with the torch in here, so quite nice for you to use. So those are the laser beams. And then finally we have the category for the muzzle flashes, which has many categories in it, including big guns, front view guns, machine guns, rifles front view, sci-fi muzzle flashes, small guns, and suppressed ones. So let's just view a little bit of these, and then we can move on to using them. So for the big guns we have things like this, and if we play that, you can see the realism of that. Very nice big chunky muzzle flash. And there's this one as well, for instance. Some of these have these like embers flying through them. This would be perfect for shotguns, for instance. As you can see in here, you have a variety of muzzle flashes that you can choose from. And for instance, if we go into this section, is quite nice, the sci-fi muzzle flashes. If we play that, you can see these like sci-fi muzzle flash in here with this streak. Very nice. And of course you can change the colors of these if you want, and I will show you how you can do that very quickly. So let's get started. I'm going to close all of these panels just like that, and then I'm going to get started inside this scene setup. There's a scene in here, this is already set up for you, and you can just place these muzzle flashes in here and use them right over here. Now, of course, all of these come as footage files as well, so if you would like to use them in other software, you can as well. So you have inside the folder, you will have the actual footage of these. So as you can see in here, you have all the footage of those right in there. So let's get started with this. For this, I'm going to bring in a simple footage file, this one, and we will see how we can use this basically. So we have this footage file in here of this guy shooting this gun in here. It is very good that you have nice footage to work with. In this case, it is in slow motion, as you can see, this footage. So what I will do is I will make it a little bit faster so that it will look more realistic. So I'm going to go to time stretch, and give that 25. And now that is the actual speed of this footage, as you can see. Perfect. So I'm going to see where he is pulling the trigger in there. It's just around there, as you can see. Perfect. And all you need to do in this case is basically align these. So just align this muzzle flash right over here. Now we have the muzzle flash already loaded in here. Of course you can change this, we will see how you can change it in a second. And I'm going to rotate this, press R on your keyboard and simply rotate it. And place it right over there. Perfect. Of course you can even scale it down or up or flip it, etc. So something like this is perfect. Wonderful. And let's go ahead and change this muzzle flash. So I'm going to go for something that is like for small guns. So there's this section, small guns in here. Let's pick one of these and see how it looks. So I'm going to select this layer, hold Alt on my keyboard, very important, and simply drag and drop this one on it. So drag and drop on this, and there we have it. And that's our muzzle flash in there. Let's see very quickly how that looks. Nice. I actually would prefer something different from this, so let's see what else we have. Let's try 7. Hold Alt on your keyboard and simply drag and drop right over there. Very nice. Let's try another one. Of course you can choose any of these. No, this would be more ideal for something that is like suppressed, for instance. And there's this one. Perfect. This is what I am looking for in here. I am simply going to scale this a little bit up. And there we go. So if we have a quick look at that, you can see how that looks. You have already the like small embers in here coming out. Very, very nice. So one thing that we have in here now is this distortion flash. Now when there is heat, there will be distortion. So we have created this layer that will auto distort your footage basically to make it more real. You can leave it as it is so that it will distort your whole footage, or else usually I like to select like the area around the flash only. So to do that, I'm simply going to go to this pen tool in here and make sure that the distortion flash is selected and simply roughly go around that flash. So, and I normally would like to go around the face since this is somewhere that the viewer would be looking. And that's basically it. Press F so that you can add some feather in here. So 50, around 50 or 100 even would be good. And let's see how that looks. Perfect. As you can see, there's like this tiny distortion on the face now. making it very, very real. So, and the next thing would be the light flash. Right now, you can leave it as it is as well. So we have created this light flash for you, where of course, it emits light. So, and right now it's all over the footage, but usually I would like to select certain places. For instance, it won't emit light on the background since it's far away. So I'm going to select simply the pistol, the hands, and the face in here. And this will make it even more real. So very roughly, you don't need to be like perfect on this. Like go around in here, the main things that you want to flash. And make sure that you are, of course, on the timeline, you are on the muzzle flash in here so that you can see everything. And then once again, hit F on your keyboard to bring up the feather, just like this. Perfect. So now if we have a look at that, you can see how realistic that looks. The face is flashing. We can increase maybe this feather a little bit more, just like that, and that should be good. Perfect. Very, very nice. Of course, if that light is a little bit too much for you, you can go hit T on your keyboard for opacity. Make sure that you are on the first frame in here. Just by doing this, make sure that you are on the first keyframe in here, and you can bring it down or up. So in this case, I'm going to make it, for instance, to 10% or even 15%, so that it is the amount that you would like it to be in. Just like that. And you can do the same even for the distortion. So if you go T on your keyboard, you can, for instance, make it 50% if you'd like to distort it less. Something like 80 would work better in this case. So play with that until you get something that you like. Perfect. So that's basically it. We're basically done with this. The only thing that we have left is the bullet shell, which right now is in an incorrect place. So let's see where that is. And let's scale this up so that we can see it properly. And let's see where that is. So if we move a little bit in here, we can see it flying right over there. Just right over there. So usually, in this case, I would prefer it if it goes over this way. So I'm simply going to flip that. So I'm going to make it go this way, so you can see the bullet in there. It is going quite fast, so it has that like motion blur with it, so you won't see it very sharply in here, but it's there. So let's make this 200% as well in terms of size. And this is the center of it. This is from where it will come out. In fact, you have these sparks in here, and we can now have a look at that. And as you can see it flying right over there. Perfect. So that's basically it. One thing that we can add in here is that inside of the muzzle flash in here, if you go to effect controls, you have this effect preset up in here, which is tritone. We can put that off to have the original colors of the flare in here, as you can see. But to increase a little bit of realism, I like to switch this on and then simply select the highlights of the footage, which would be this, the midtones, which would be something like this, and the shadows, which would be something like this. Actually, the shadows, you can always leave them to at pure black in here. And like that, you can see that its colors would fit in much better with the environment, just like that. So as for the bullet shell, normally when you bring, for instance, a new bullet shell, of course you can even in this case, if you don't like that bullet shell, you can even select another one. So let's go ahead and select another one to see how that looks. So let's go to bullet shells and, for instance, bring in the 15 instead and see how that looks. And now that one shoots to this side. Maybe that will be better for you. Just select one that you like, basically. You can even move it a little bit, maybe to the back in here. Perfect. And for the bullet shells, if you are going to bring them in, like without switching them, not inside this scene, you're going to make sure to hit this button in here. So this button in here, just like that. So we'll see, we can see on another scene where we can maybe edit things ourselves instead of using this scene setup, so that you can visualize how you can use these even with your own scenes. But of course, what you can do if you are using your own scene, you can simply copy and paste these. So Control C on your keyboard or edit copy and then paste them inside your new scene. So that's it for this scene. It's looking very real now. And perfect. So let's move on to something else. So I'm going to bring on a new footage in here. And so let's place this one here. And I'm simply going to place this inside a new composition, just like that. And in here we have these guys with these suppressed rifles in here. And with this we can use, since it's a little bit of a dark scene, we can use something like the laser beams. So in this case, I'm not going to use the scene setup in here. I'm going to throw in everything fresh in here so that you can see even how you can build your own scenes if you would like. So let's start off with the laser. So I'm going to go to laser beams and see which one that I like. So this is green. I would like something that has a torch with it. So something like this would be perfect. So that is gun laser beam 10. And if I go inside that scene, we can simply drag and drop that laser beam right over here. Now, of course, right now it is on black. All we need to do is simply switch this transfer mode in here to screen, or even to add. So perfect. Now, what is best to do is, of course, to track your footage in here so that the laser beam would follow the gun perfectly. So to do that, it's a simple process. So simply select your footage and let's bring the tracking window in here. So the tracker right over here, and click on track motion. But just before that, I'm going to go to create a new null layer in here. So new null object. So what we're going to do is we're going to track this gun and put that data that we track in here on that null object in here. So I'm going to rename this null layer as to laser position tracked, just like that, so that I know what it is. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the footage and simply hit track motion. It will immediately create the track point for me. In this case, I would like to use the rotation as well, since I would like to see where it is pointing. So I have these two track points in here, and you can position a track point where there is some detail in here. For instance, at the point in here, at the farthest part of the gun, and the other one, make it a little bit larger so that you pick up some detail, and the other one I'm going to position right here. As you can see, there's a little bit of detail in here when we zoom in, so that's where I'm going to position it. Perfect, so that's done. Now, in this case, I am at the end middle in here, so it's best to start at the start in here, so I'm going to go once again on there and on there, and then simply click the Analyze Forward in here. And it's best to inspect that it is not running around and that everything is fixed, that the tracking is fixed in here. So let's wait for it to track. Of course, it can take some time to track. It depends on the quality of the footage right now. So right now I'm using, I think 4K footage exactly. So of course it will take a little bit of more time in there. So that should be about enough for us. So we wanted to track when he was pointing, so that should be just about enough for us of tracking data in there. And if we check it quite quickly in here, the part with green is the part that is tracked. So if we check it quickly in here, we can see that it is completely fixed, as you can see, to that gun. Just in case you have a part that's not fixed, you can simply pick another point, maybe, and just try again to see if that works better for you. So, of course, it is important for it to be fixed. So, that's tracked in there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Edit Target, make sure that we have that laser position tracked selected layer in there selected, click OK, and then simply hit Apply. And click OK in there. And now we have until this part in here tracked. So I'm going to hit N on my keyboard in here so that I work only on this part. And that should be about enough in there. We have around 4 seconds in there. Usually most scenes won't be more than like a few seconds long, so this should be enough for us. So I'm going now to bring in my laser. So I have already that in here. It is once again set to add in this case. And what I want to do is I need to align this perfectly with the gun. Now, first of all, in this case, I'm going to scale it a little bit further up in here. Don't worry, it's 126% in here, but don't worry, it should look good in here. So this is because the footage is very, very high quality in here. So this is just about right. Hit R on your keyboard and then align it perfectly with that gun. So just check it like this, put it over the gun and see that it is in a straight line with it, and then I'm going to place it right in here. Perfect. So, or even somewhere in here is good. Just, the idea is just to have it look realistic basically. Just like that. Perfect. So now what I'm going to do is I'm simply going to parent it to the null layer here that we have done earlier. So simply parent that just like that, pick and drop right over it, and that's basically done. If we hit 0 on our keyboard to preview it, let's make this fit up to 100%. You can see that now it follows our gun correctly. Very, very nice. Perfect. So with that done, now we can use for instance, a muzzle flash in here. So let's just, in this case, I'm going to use a suppressed one. So I'm going to pick one from here, from muzzle flashes, go to suppressed rifles in this case, and let's see what is this one. Quite nice, I like it. I'm going to add on my keyboard on the transfer mode, just select add and place it right over here. Perfect. It is quite aligned already, so maybe we just need to rotate it just a fraction in there, just one. Perfect. And actually just select where you want that muzzle flash to like start. So somewhere around here, for instance. And let's see how that looks. Perfect. I'm just going to move a frame in here and position that like that. Perfect. So now, if you remember, we had an effect on the muzzle flash called tritone. So if you want, we can bring that in as well. So let's go to effects and presets. Simply type tritone in here, and there it is. And simply bring it in right over that muzzle flash. And now we're going to select the highlight, the midtone, and the shadows I'm going to leave to black, and blend with original something like 60%, so that we keep detail of the original file. But you can see, of course, in here what that does. As you can see, it blends it in with the environment much more. And in this case, I think a screen would be even better rather than add. So perfect. And there we have it. We have that very nice muzzle flash in there. Looks looking quite real already. Now, what else we can do? We can add the bullet shell. So let's go to project window in here and find the bullet shell. And let's see how this one looks. Looks quite nice. It's like a rifle-sized bullet shell in here, so I will pick that one, go to the scene in here, and bullet shell 06, like that. Make sure that it starts with the muzzle flash, and in this case, you can simply turn the transfer mode to add or screen actually, and position that where you want. And perfect, you can see how that works immediately for us. Now, of course, in this case, I would like it to go to the other side, so I'm going to hit S on my keyboard and simply flip it, unlink this, and then -100 in here, just like that. Perfect. Now, of course, in this case, the footage he's not actually shooting, so that is like making the scene slightly unrealistic maybe, but it's ideal, of course, to choose a footage where the guy is actually shooting, and if you, for instance, have the hands in here moving, etc., that would be even better. So, but even like this, it's looking quite real. What I am noticing is that the bullet shell is slightly slow, so I might need to make that a little bit faster. So let's go to time stretch with the bullet shell selected and do something like 50%, and that is better now. Perfect. Of course, what you can do, you can also rotate it in here to make it go to a different direction, just like that. Perfect. One last thing, of course, you can add that light flash. So to do that, I'm simply going to the scene setup in here, and I'm going to copy these two effects in here, the distortion and the light flash. Simply copy them and go to this scene in here and paste them right over here. And you need, of course, to align them with that muzzle flash in here, and then select as an area. Actually, I would like to delete this, so let's undo and show you what I have done in here. So if I go to masks, what I have done in here, just delete this mask that I already have in here, and as you can see, you have that layer. Let's make sure that it is centered over our footage, just like that. And then I'm simply, like I have done before, I'm going to select around this muzzle flash. In this case, I would like select something like this. And I always like to select a part of his face as well, since that is where the viewer will look. So that's done. F on my keyboard to bring on the feather, and something like 100 would be good, or even 200. So let's see, let's make that 200 on both of those, and the light flash is basically done, as you can see. And now the face is flashing just a little bit, and finally the distortion. And once again, let's delete this. Make sure that the layer is centered over the footage. Right now it is like in this position. And of course it's not centered since we pulled that from the other scene in here. And we're simply going to select around this muzzle flash this time. And maybe the face as well. I know it's a little bit far in here, but giving that like slight distortion on the face would make it look even more impactful. So let's blend it in with a 200 and the 200 in here. And we're basically done. So let's check that out. And perfect, that looks quite good. So of course, and then you can also add a music file in here of the bullet hit to make that look even more real. So perfect. So that's how you use the lasers and track your footage, etc. One last thing is we can even add something like, let's see, if someone is like shooting to them, we can even use something like a dust burst. So if we import this one, in this case, as you can see, it is on white, this one, so we need to use this in multiply. And you can place this wherever you want. So if we, for instance, would like to make somewhere in here, rotate it, basically just to add more drama to your scene. Of course, in this case, it would be best to like track this column in here. So let's do that very quickly. So what we can do is we can track a point in the column in here and then attach this one to that tracking data. So I'm going to go to layer, so go to layer, new, and then null object in here. I'm going to rename this dust burst position. Perfect. Let's go to this footage file, and just as we have done before, I'm going to go to the tracker and track motion. Now in this case I'm not going to use rotation since I just want a point in here, and so don't pick the middle in there, pick the whole thing and just pick somewhere where there is some detail like in here. Perfect. Actually I would like it to be more down in here, somewhere right there, and hit the analyze button in there. And in this case it's a little bit faster since we are tracking a single point. So that's basically it. You only need to track till the end of this dust burst. Of course you don't need to track more than you are going to use in here. So that's basically it. Hit edit target, make sure that it is right on that layer in there, press OK, and then hit apply. OK, and we're basically done with that. And as you can see, now that null layer is fixed to that position on the column, just like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick the dust burst and parent it to that dust burst position. And now we can find where the dust burst starts, just like there. And now if we place it, as you can see, it is staying with the footage just like that. Perfect. So perfect. Now what I'm seeing is that this is quite slow in this case, so some of these elements are like rendered in like a slow motion so that they are more versatile for you to use. So what we're going to do is we're simply going to go to time stretch, and do something like 30, so that it is quite faster. Perfect. And one last thing is that, as you can see, it is quite dark in here. So you can even in this case use another dust burst instead that is on white. So if we just hit Alt on our keyboard and switch this, just drag and drop. Now this is on black, so we need to use this screen, but you can see how that looks. Perfect. And then you can also use things like bullet hits. Simply position them over your footage, change them to screen, and there you go basically. So if you'd like to, for instance, make it hit his helmet, for instance, you can see how that looks. Perfect. Of course, this is so short that you don't even need to track anything in here, so just position it there like we did with the muzzle flash, and it will look good, just like that. Of course, you can do the normal things like rotate and scale, etc., to get exactly the look that you want. Perfect. So that's the bullet hits. Let's see what else we can cover in here. And finally we have the bullet streaks. So for instance, if we can go inside one of these and see what we want in here. This one 06 is quite good. So if we go back into that scene, we can import a bullet streak and switch that to screen, and we can make it look as if they are shooting to them. So let's rotate this 180 degrees so that it comes from the opposite direction. Perfect. And you can even make it like hit the helmet in here. So let's see where that hit is, and just end it in there. Once again, we can make it even faster in here. So time and time stretch to 50%. And you can see how that looks. You can add even more of these if you would like. Position it, of course, wherever you want. And as you can see, that gives so much life to the footage in here. So if we see now, one extra thing that you can do is, of course, we have done that tritone in there before. We can do the same thing on the streak. I'm simply going to copy it from the muzzle flash, and that should look good right away. So simply copy that and paste it right over that bullet streak, and as you can see, it fits in much more like that. So simply copy and paste just like that. So like this, you can see how much more life the scene has right in here. Perfect. So we can see how we started. So we started like this, a very simple scene. Nothing is happening. They are just basically looking in here, inspecting the scene. And now if we see what we have added in here, we can see that we have the laser beam, the guy shooting, etc. So that's very nice in there. So that's basically all. I hope you enjoyed watching this tutorial and that you have learned something, and that you find this project very useful. So simply drag and drop these elements over your footage and design your own unique scenes in here. Thank you very much for watching.